Everybody, welcome back to another episode of PT Post Mortem. I am one of your hosts, Swaggy Dr. Kush, and this is your other host, already signed, already upset, Mr. Doctor. How we doing, big guy?
I mean, I'm doing good. It would have helped if we didn't do 20 minutes of recording before this when my mic was muted, but hey. So, my mic's now unmuted. We are going to go straight into this. We have, in previous time, talked about the patch, which we'll now quickly go over. The stamina changes were shit. There's a few ground and pound changes that were quite nice. The alter egos are fun, yet you haven't used Tony Ferguson, because you're sad.
I haven't used Tony Ferguson. I haven't used Nate Diaz. I haven't used Donald Cerrone. I've seen all of them used. No, I haven't seen Donald or I've seen Nate and Tony used. I went on the game yesterday and realized they were both 15K coins, so I had to make a decision. I didn't want to make a decision, and I don't want to give EA any more money. So I decided I'm just going to try to grind out the Donald Cerrone challenges. I got cheesed. I got mad, and then I went to sleep. The patch was terrible. They did not significant at all. In the right direction. They're focusing on the right things, but they're not doing enough. Hopefully we'll see if they can do good things in the March patch. Hopefully. That's all we can do is hope.
Yeah, hopefully we can do that. Like, genuinely, I mean, all things considered, the patch is a good starting point, but it does need to go further. It needs a couple more adjustments, but yeah. We'll get there slowly and eventually, and hopefully as the game goes on, it'll just improve better and better. I mean, you have your own feelings about it. I have my own feelings about it. I think it's in like a viable state. I mean, it's definitely a competitive state, but there's definitely issues that need to be sorted. But with that being said, there are people who believe this game is in an ultra competitive state, and other ones competing from last week as well as this week. So we'll have a quick glance over and dissect PT21 before we get into the massive changes that have come in PT22, because there's like both the Xbox and PlayStation divisions have kind of been thrown all around the place, I've got to admit. So that being said, first fight, Odran versus Kemuel. This was Robbie Lawler versus an alter ego, Leon Edwards.
That alter ego Leon Edwards pick is a beautiful pick. But Kenmure used the Leon, right?
Yep.
And he lost, so he didn't make that pick look wonderful. Odran is trying to get back to where he was in the beginning of the season, and I hope he can do it.
Title fight against Fad?
Yeah, he got dog walked.
Yeah. Easiest way to say it.
It didn't even look enjoyable for Fad. Fad, like, it looked fat. It looked like Fad felt bad.
I think he got taken up to heavyweight as well, which is what a lot of these guys who feel like they have no height do. They take it all the way up to heavyweight, which I think is both an insane idea and a clever idea, only because one of Fad's best picks is John Jones normally. So.
Yeah. I don't know how I would go about a Fad fight. The next fight on the card was John Africa versus Pug.
Wait. So, I mean, John looked like John Africa. This man is notorious for his shit talking, but yeah. He comes out, does a good job, looks fantastic. Pug tries to make the adjustments. He wants to strike when the opponent wants to grapple, and he grapples when the opponent wants to strike. John Africa, they can take it anywhere, and that's kind of what he just let happen. He just existed and got the win that way. From that fight, you had K Got Bills versus Optimus Jojo. We saw the debut of Bryce Mitchell, which is interesting. The commentary decided to talk about K Got Bills' fighting style, which I feel like even we have to comment about. Like, as you mentioned, in the 20 minutes before we started this, he is the most boring fighter in PT, which I have to disagree with, only because Dino exists, but that's just me.
Yeah, but I'll re-say what I said earlier. Dino's not boring. I actually find Dino's fights interesting because I think ping fights are funny. However, I'm an asshole. I think
Yes,
K
you
Got
are.
Bills is indeed the most boring fighter in PT because his fights aren't laggy and he just chooses to just lay on people. As to where Dino knows you shouldn't wrestle with lag, but Dino does it anyway.
Dino.
And
The first
I
time I
think
ran
that's
into Dino, he was a menace. Genuine. Like, he was shooting non-stop takedowns on ping that neither of us could deny. It's just like, why? Genuinely,
fucking
it's toxic and
that
a troll move. It's
yeah,
like trying to wrestle Leppo.
yeah, it's like yes, Dino has a very like high films like play style where it's just like toxic, disgusting grappling. And K Got Bills is just boring grappler.
I mean, he did
He
get
got
around
no
two stop though,
toxicity to
so
him. He got no toxicity to him. He's just boring.
that's Swaggy's opinion. If anybody's going to get the scumbucket of the week, it may be K got Bills for winning. Yeah. So I mean, from that fight, going on to Amazon versus Kahan. I believe this fight was a typical boxing matchup. I've got to imagine, just named. My mind's kind of blank from in the exact way the fight went, but Kahan got the win. Amazon again is now 6-6. I want to say I'm shocked, but I don't want to insult the guy. But it's Amazon. He's brilliantly consistent. He's brilliantly consistent on wins and losses. It's kind of funny.
Like you mean he wins one then loses one?
Basically,
Yeah,
like he's the complete opposite of Day, where he loses, like he wins 5, loses 5. Like
yeah,
Amazon just does it one at a time. He wins one, he loses one. He wins one, he loses one. Dave on the other hand just goes, "I'm going to win 5, and then I'm going to lose 5." And that's the way
yeah.
that's going to work.
Leave Dave out of this.
You're telling me it's not wrong though?
Uh, they are both in AKA, but the thing with Amazon is Amazon comes in and he fights like the same fight every fight. Amazon's a really talented fighter. He just I feel like he gets in his own head sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
As to where like there was a couple moments he could have beat Kaihan. There's a
Yep.
couple moments he could have won in all of his losses. He just doesn't. And Kaihan overcame it and earned his spot on the live card by beating me on the unaired. Shout out to Doc for treating me like an unaired gatekeeper. But yeah, Kaihan had a good fight, man. He had a good fight. Moving forward to Scarface versus Warrior. Warrior coming off of a loss versus Trixie. Had to overcome that loss.
Yeah, he had to come over them, and he did so. I mean, against someone like Scarface, a name that's been around since the era of UFC's 3, he's part of that EK camp previously as well, so he knows to score. It's not a bad loss. It's not a bad loss for Scarface, and it's a fantastic win for Warrior, getting back in that picture at that 4-1 record now. So they expect him to be back on the main card, looking dominant, looking for another dominant win or in some type of fashion to then get back into that title picture again, because he was so close to a title, but then Trixie came along and just caused some utter chaos there.
Yeah, Trixie's been doing. Trixie's just been coming in and causing chaos, and we'll get to that later on. The chaos that is Trixie, but the next fight in the prelims it was the last fight in the prelims.
Yeah.
What the fancy people called the featured prelim. It was Samurai Robin versus NM Roxer.
Indeed. Sam Robin's part of the MV camp, which is an interesting camp since you don't see a lot of them compete. You see Ginger compete. I know Paps is competing this week on the.
But I always see them bitching on Twitter. I always see all them bitching on Twitter. I never see them competing, but I see them bitching on Twitter.
I don't bother to read Twitter. It's toxic.
I'm sorry. That was unnecessary. Don't come for me, MV Camp. I love all you guys. I follow you all. That's why I see it. In the game, oh yeah, for sure. All of them except Ginger. Ginger's dog shit.
Poor Ginger. Leave the man alone.
So I beat him in Madden the other day. It was mad fun. I love seeing the British people
Madden's
come to
a bit
Madden.
different to you. Also, he's not British, he's Irish. If you call him British, you may actually get... Yeah, something may happen not very good to you. Anyhow, anyhow, Robin. I mean, people have been saying he's washed, as you said previously in the 20 minutes before this that we were recording. Definitely not the case. Robin looking really good, really self-sufficient. He's come back. He's now on that +3 on a 5 and 2.
Well,
like,
when I say people are saying he's washed, I was talking about J Dime, who's just a hater. So
J Dime really likes to hate some people, doesn't he? It's really kind of mental. Dino, Robin, not Ginge. That's your job. But yeah. Again, Robin coming out looking good. Proxer, part of the MMA camp. He's a solid competitor. Just didn't have it in him this week to get that win against someone like Robin. But that's fine. He'll be back. He's now 3-2. That's a very good record, especially as we come towards the end of this season. He's ranked 15. All he needs is 2 more wins. He'll be back into that top 16 place, possibly looking to fight for the title come the beginning of next season. So that's kind of what the prelims are going to be for the next 3 weeks or so. It's going to be more the case you're looking who's going to be able to break into that top 16, who's going to be those last 2 names, who's going to be having that first fight against the champ, because the way we see it is from 1 versus 16 and 2 versus 15 and so on. So that's kind of the way it's going to be interesting to see.
yeah, I can't wait. Going into the main card, I promise I was listening. TYR versus Fran. Fran, who's currently ranked number 12, coming into this kind of needed a big win because I feel like Fran's trying to make a statement.
I mean, and Fran did make a statement. He went from rank number 12 to rank number 6.
Did make a statement.
Yeah, he went from all the way up to rank number 6, 4-1 on the +3. That's a really good record, a really good win streak, and it is a really good win for him. Like I don't think it could have gone better for Fran at PT 21. I mean, that puts him straight up into the title picture. 1-2 more wins. He's definitely looking at a fight against Fadnator, most likely.
Fran's a dog.
Nearly everyone is a dog according to you, so nearly everyone.
You know who else is a dog?
Not Kante.
No, Mix-Ups is a dog. I don't really know if I can generally say that actually, because Mix-Ups isn't only mixing it up in the cage, he's mixing it up with his win-loss records as well. And he is 8-5 right now, which in the beginning of the season he was that guy. He was that guy, and he lost to Fat twice. And kind of since then, like, he'd been taking these L's, but he came out and he beat Conti, and it was a pretty good fight. And Conti was on a +3.
Yeah,
it was a big win for Mix-Ups.
You say 8-5. Bearing in mind, two of those losses, as you said, were to the champ. So he's and pretty much he's been in the top 10 for the majority of the season. So that's 3 losses to guys who are all in the top 5, give or take.
Yeah, but Doc, you're here to be a champion. You're not here to be like,
sometimes it just takes a while. Sometimes it just takes a while to become.
You're not here to be like, I'm the 7th best in PT. You're here to be like, I'm the best in PT. And Mix-Ups wants to. I know deep down in his heart he cannot be happy with that. He was so close that first match against Fad, and that second fight against Fad beat the dog shit out of him. So I know he can't be happy. I know he wants that fight back, and he has to do a lot to be able to get that fight back.
I mean, fair enough. I mean, Mix-Ups would be happy definitely with the win over Kante. That gets him back into the picture on the +1 streak. So he's definitely looking to improve his game plan overall. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think, as you mentioned, everybody was looking to get to that point. Mix-Ups has had more opportunities than most, but yeah, he's still struggling. But I imagine as the closing that part of this season going into the next, you're going to see that improve more and more, especially as the game improves itself as well.
Yeah, the game will continue to get better and competition will continue to get better. And moving into the next fight, which was Not Nasty versus Jasmine.
That got changed to the style. Chazman pulled out, so
Not Nasty versus Versatile.
yeah.
And I believe Verse actually
Verse
won that
one,
fight.
yeah, verse one, and that. I mean, for Versatile, I don't think this fight could have gone better given what has then happened later on, poster card coming into PT22, which we'll discuss later. But yeah, Versatile won at featherweight, put on a really good fight, and definitely showcased off his ability there. Following from that, you've got the Vanio fight, which against Igor and May. Now, Igor I've really highly rated, but Vanio keeps coming out and keeps putting on impressive performance after impressive performance as well. Like, Vanio, although he's part of that B3, he's taken hints of GOAT. He's definitely taken very many hints from GOAT, who's also B3, in the case of he's using a lot of that wrestling mixed with the striking aspect here, Swag.
Yeah, nah, he's been going absolutely ape shit. Vanio's been like back doing his thing. You have to remember his only loss is to Smudger. Vanio went crazy against Eagle, and I'm excited to see who he's fighting this week. I haven't even looked at the card yet. I like to be surprised. But moving
You're
into
gonna be very
the
surprised.
moving into the last fight on the main card before the co-main and main event, it was Driz versus Mozzie, and Mozzie had a tough test.
Yes. No, Mozzie was out. We discussed this last time. I don't think you're looking at the announcement.
I am.
Yeah.
I am looking at the announcement card. Who Driz fight?
Frosty.
Oh, 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 yeah. It didn't go well for Frosty, man.
No.
It didn't go well for Frosty. I lost 15,000 channel points on Frosty. Frosty was not ice cold against Driz.
It was that like
It kind of looked like
match. It's just one of those things. I think, especially in this game, Dustin Poirier was quite good in 4, but he's less so in 5, and the McGregor matchup is very difficult to handle with someone like Poirier, I would argue.
it also
Islam's probably a better pick.
It kind of looked like Driz had Fad in his ear too, because you can't forget Fad just fought Frosty and it was a very close fight. It looks like Driz had Fad like watching over, like telling him, "Hey, you should, do this. Watch for that. Watch for that."
Yeah.
Fad also didn't fight, so
yeah, it's very, very possible given the fact they're also in the same camp. But yeah, that is the risk you take when you fight at such high level. Sometimes you show one thing to one campmate, and then next thing you know, you're fighting a different campmate, and they've got a few more reads. Especially given the fact that Frosty versus Fad went 4 or 5 rounds, if I'm not mistaken. So that's going to happen.
A lot of fights. Yep.
So that's going to happen.
The next fight, which I'm excited to talk about, was Attican versus Trixie. And Attican is like a master of the swag style. It's crazy because I don't know who taught it to him.
Attican has had this since day bloody dot.
He might have to teach me. Like, it's crazy. He does spinning elbows into overhands, and it's the most beautiful combo I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've been doing that since like the very beginning of UFC 3. And now I've been doing it, and it's just not as beautiful as Attican. And Attican's that guy. Attican knows what he's doing, and Attican beat Trixie. Attican had a crazy test ahead of him, and he beat Trixie. Everybody couldn't believe it. Nobody understood what was happening, and Attican is here to create chaos. Attican is here to mess up this entire Xbox division. I think Attican's here to beat Fatinator. Like he was put here to beat Fatinator.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he's definitely probably pushing it, I would argue. But you've got to tune in this Saturday, find that one out for certain.
And then our main event was MG versus Naz. Naz fake glove touched him and won by KO, but it wasn't close before
It's
that.
Naz. I don't know
You
what
have
I
to
need
expect
to
that.
say.
Yeah, I say it a lot. You have to expect that. Also, MG was only throwing jab straights.
Which is kind of weird against Smudger.
1-2.
Not gonna lie, that was basically style against Smudger.
1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. I was gonna jump off the roof with all the 1-2s. It was crazy. But Naz ended up coming out on top and was your PS champion.
Yep. And so that brings us to 22. So,
yes.
Firstly, and we'll address the elephant in the room if anybody has seen the co-main event. The co-main event is Vanio versus Bestow. Now, this would have been for a number 1 contender fight. However, would you like to take a guess what happened?
So, for some reason, Naz switching consoles.
Yep. What do you think that means?
He dropped the PlayStation belt.
Yep, he vacated. So we are currently having a new PlayStation title fight, which will be Vanio versus Restyle. Vanio is on a 6-1 on a +3. Restyle 7-3 on a +4. I think that those two guys are the most deserving in the roster. I mean, their records are spectacular. And so one of them is going to be champ. And I mean, either one of them being champ is going to be very, very impressive no matter what.
As much as I hate it, I do respect Naz and Smudger refusing to fight each other, kinda, because this is I'm not saying that's what's happening, but this is what it feels like. Yeah. This is what it feels like. That Naz vacated because he knew Smudger was coming, and they don't want to fight each other. Because they're on the same camp. They're both NM, which I understand. I do respect that. As much as I hate it, because I would love to see that fight. That would be a banger, but we're never gonna see it.
Yeah, it's one of those interesting matchups, and it's not like they're just, and it's not like where you see other cases of people refusing to fight each other. It's the fact that they don't want to fight each other, so Naz just goes over to a different console entirely. It's that kind of issue, and that's where it falls into. So I think knowing that Naz has vacated, we'll talk about his fight first, which is about the middle of the prelims, about 3 fights down from the featured prelim, and that is against Frosty MMA. So he's a debut, he's 0-0, but he's had the PS belt, so he's going to be making his debut on Xbox against a rank 13. He's going to need 2, maybe 3 wins to get into the fight against Fad, so it's going to be an interesting time to see that.
Frosty, send him back to PlayStation. That's a crazy matchup to make off rip. I do like that matchup though. It's gonna be a good fight. Frosty's ice cold and Naz is that guy. Frosty, don't touch his glove. There you go. At all. Do not touch gloves.
I was waiting for the catchphrase. I was waiting for it.
Yo, Pigeon's back?
Yeah, but he's already escaped.
Huh?
He's already pulled out.
What? Pigeon.
Don't. Yeah, I make no comment. It's Pigeon. He does what a pigeon does. So, yeah. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start from the top or do you want to start from the bottom?
Start with Dirty Dan.
Dirty Dan versus K1 S98. I think S98 making, he's 2-0. He's making his debut off of the unaired side now. Dirty Dan's kind of the same way, so that's going to be an interesting. Both of them relatively new bloods, unless you know.
You know what? You know the thing about numbers. When there's numbers in your name, you're usually trash. I got Dirty Dan in this one.
Does that mean I'm trash?
Doc, we've had this conversation. You're up there with Ginger.
Wow.
Ginger's on this card.
Is he? Yes, he is. My mind is
crazy.
Sieve.
All right, so So is that pigeon fight scrapped, or is Conti fighting somebody else?
Kante is fighting Theo James.
Who
Theo,
is that?
striker, Xbox guy's been around the block a few times. He's recently started competing again on an ad, got his fights won there, now making his debut on the live card this season. So it's one of those fights where Kante's probably the betting favourite, but I wouldn't count Theo out by any measures. He's one of those fighters who will just come forward and throw and just not stop at the stop, even if you're unconscious.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Theo Von in action. I bet you he's a dog. Now I'm moving forward to a fight that I'm excited to talk about. TYR, who's a savage. He's a dog. He's an animal.
You just want him to beat Ginge. That's all it is.
Who is against Ginger? Who
exactly.
Ginger's really not that bad. Ginger's pretty good. Ginger just gets in his own head. And the last time we saw Ginger on the live card, he decided to wrestle a wrestler. When he should have just struck and he would have won.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, I mean, we can't talk about that insane game plan. It was very weird. He decided to pick Kevin Holland, and none of that fight made sense. I'm not gonna lie, none of it did. And,
yeah, so if we see a different Ginger coming into it,
I hope
like a smart Ginger,
yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah. But then we got
I love
Eagle versus Tron. Where are all these K1 guys coming from?
I think K1 is like reformed or made a new name. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I've just got rid of their camp pro out of PT, but apparently I think I might need to do it again at this rate. Yeah, again, I believe Tron comes from the unaired side. He's got a couple wins there. Now he's coming back. He's making his debut on the live card at the very end of the season against someone who's basically been a vet and is honestly one of my favourite fighters on PS right now, that of Eagle MMA. Again, I fully expect this to probably end up being a grappling versus striking matchup of some sort.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Eagle does here. Because Eagle is coming off of a loss and he needs a big win to stay in that top 16.
Well, we did also cover the Frosty versus Naz fight. I mean, we all know your betting favourite there is the man who's ice cold.
Why? Wait. The next fight over that is K Got Bills versus Pigeon.
Yep.
Are you trolling me?
No,
I thought Pigeon dropped out.
But one Pigeon did, two he got double booked accidentally, so the Kente fight was sorted out, but then Pigeon also decided to put out anyway, and so a different fight then had to be sorted out, which is now MBK Maximus. Not Maxio, which is another guy who because for some reason there's two MBK guys, one's called Maxo and one's called Maximus. Very close in names if you go look at their names on Discord.
It's wait, Maxo? NBK Maxo?
Yeah, but he's not the guy, it's Maximus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know Maxo. I don't know Maximus.
Right. Well, you're about to find out this Saturday. He's going to be fighting against the most notorious fighter in primetime.
Good luck. GG's. Honestly, Optimus, I'm Maximus, Optimus, Prime, Maximus. I'm happy that you're making your primetime debut on the live card. However, GG's. You got booked against K Got Bills. And K does have bills to pay. He just pays them slowly.
Yeah, I mean, he takes 3 rounds to pay them, but he definitely, I think he's going to start quitting at the pace as time goes on. I definitely do think that. I think his reputation of being a boring fighter will definitely improve as time goes on. But from that fight, you go to SVGJX Goated. Could you have a longer name? Versus Not Nasty. Swaggy stared in confusion. I believe.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, because it was originally Dino. Stop dropping out against Dino. Stop disrespecting Dino. I'll sacrifice myself to Dino. However,
it's one of those things of we'll talk about it now because it's probably the best opportunity here. It's Dino. We all like Dino. Don't get us wrong. Dino's a lovely guy, but and it's not his fault. It really isn't. And like I've had a conversation with him, he gets his policy and everything. 115 above in prime time, you don't have to play. Like, we are nice. We don't we like, it's both from a competitive and production standpoint. Typically anything above 150 that is unstable usually leads to either issues in the actual fighting technique, so it doesn't look great, or the other factor matters. So that's sometimes the way it goes.
Yeah, you can take losses due to lag too. No, I understand the rule. I just really, you got to feel for Dino, because Dino's just out here trying to fight, man. But I'm sure Dino will get it in with somebody that also lives in Guam. Now moving forward, we got Warrior versus Odran to open up the main card. That's a good fight.
Yeah, I've just found the fighter picks. It's Yan versus Corey, which is definitely a wild one.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Corey, that's crazy. I guess because of the grappling. We'll see. I'm kind of excited for that one. That'll be a good fight for sure. Then John Africa versus Sean Corkery. Is this the return of Sean Corkery? I believe it is, right?
Pardon?
This is the return of Sean. We haven't seen him since the beginning.
It is the return of Sean. Yeah, sure.
I'm also jazzed for that fight at welterweight. John has things to prove. John wants to get back in the picture where he felt comfortable talking shit, and we'll see if he can do that against Sean Corkery this Saturday. Moving forward, we got Trixie versus Bossman, which that is a wild fight because Trixie's pissed. Trixie's definitely pissed.
Yeah.
Trixie was on the beautiful path to Fatinator and got beaten by a spinning elbow spamming overhanding freak. Which, don't worry, I am also a spinning elbow spamming overhanding freak. But Trixie's here to prove that if it's a high level fight, he's winning it. And he's gonna come in against Bossman, who's a very high level competitor, and I do believe this will be a close fight until it's not, and Trixie will end up coming out with the win.
Would you like to know the fighter picks?
Sure.
Bossman's going Volkanovski, Trixie's going Max Holloway, and the fighter band was Conor McGregor.
That makes me happy. Trixie's Max Holloway. That's definitely a win. I hope we see a cartwheel kick. Mix-ups versus Fran. Fran is that guy. Fran the man. I like that. Fran the man. Yeah. That's gonna stick against Mix-ups. Who I was saying earlier, Mix-ups still hasn't proven to me that he's got that dog in him. He's back at number 3, but like we've seen in the last couple of weeks, he could just go and lose this fight and just be back down in the dumps again. So really, what Mix-ups is going to show up? I know what Fran's going to show up. I mean, Fran the man's going to show up.
So I'm looking at these picks, and it's Fran's Figgy, Mix-ups Corey.
Yeah, what's the problem with those picks?
I don't know, but something tells me Fran's gonna just literally walk forward. The buff to Figgy at bantamweight, the 90 block, the power is basically the equivalent of Cody. Then Corey, he's good, he's long, he doesn't have the best grappling stats, but he's still half decent. But then when you got Figgy on bottom, it's not a great game. And then, yeah. Honestly, looking at those picks, I love Fran.
Yeah, no, I got Fran too. I definitely got Fran going into this. Fran the man. Moving forward, this card just keeps getting more interesting and interesting. We got Driz versus Mozzie.
Driz versus Mozzie? Have I skipped a fight? Oh, you skipped over a fight. Yeah, you skipped over a fight. Vuck versus Cahan.
I did skip over that fight, damn. I didn't mean to. It wasn't on purpose. Vuck lost last week. Who'd Vuck lose to? Who was Vuck's last fight?
I can get up the ranking sheet. He lost to PT 120 against Smudger.
Oh, that makes sense. Yep, I remember that. So he's lost to Smudger twice and CV once. Vuck's gonna come out. Vuck's gonna come out and try to just end it. I feel like it's gonna be go to the ground, smash him up, end the fight.
Yeah.
Cayenne's a very good competitor, but Vuck's on a different level, and Vuck likes to show it.
Looking at these picks here, you got Kayhan with Izzy, you got Vuck with Drickus.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over before it even started. I don't know why you would ever go Izzy against Vuck.
I don't want to say Kayhan may have made a dumb pick there.
It was a bad pick. You got no grappling. It was a horrible pick, to be honest.
I would have suggested Pereira outside of that. Honestly, if you're looking for that kickboxing style, yeah, Izzy's the man to go. But
I would have been Sean.
Given his more recent update. Short, nah, Izzy. Izzy was definitely probably, I would argue, a better pick there for Drickus. But
because of the ground stuff, I would have went Sean. A little bit better than Izzy. But now we got Driz versus Mazzy.
Yeah, we've actually got this fight this time around. It was rebooked, and would you like me to just say the picks now, or let you have your opinion first and then tell you the picks?
Let me have my opinion first.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because here's how I see this fight going.
Okay.
I see it going. Mazzy's gonna come out and Mazzy's gonna try to play his game, but Driz is gonna stop it. Driz is gonna stop it early, and Driz is gonna stop it often. Driz isn't going to allow any takedowns. Driz is going to keep it on the feet until he doesn't want to be on the feet anymore. I don't know if he will not want to be on the feet anymore. He's going to walk Mazzy down. Mm-hmm. He's going to walk Mazzy down while defending takedowns and do his thing. It'll probably end in the second round. Mazzy will try his absolute best, but he's going to get walked down unless, if by the grace of God, he takes Driz down. I think Driz just reverses it and show there's levels down there too, bud.
I mean,
what are the picks?
We have got Mazzy with Charles Oliveira, Driz with Dustin. I mean, on that topic about Driz stopping the game, yeah, it's entirely possible. This is kind of a make or break fight for Mazzy, I would argue. Like, given his position on the card, given the
it's a very big fight for Mazzy.
Fighting, this is going to really dictate whether or not he's going to be able to make it fully into the title picture coming into the end of the season, coming into next season. He's definitely going to have a chance at the belt if he manages to stay, as long as he gets another 2 wins. Even if he does lose this, he's definitely still in title contention in the GP, but would he actually get a main event spot against champ? That is still to be seen. If he beats Driz, more than likely. If he doesn't, yeah, there's going to be questions over the level that he can fight at, but I think Mazzy's gonna either way come out here and put on a really good fight, especially for someone like Driz.
Well, yeah, Mazzy has to, and using Charles Oliveira, I'm definitely intrigued to see what that entails exactly for Mazzy coming out, fighting like Mazzy does.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So we have the co-main event. We've discussed this already a bit, so we'll just get straight into it. Who do you think's winning the PlayStation title? Vestal or Vania?
Man, this is a hard one.
It is. It really is.
This is a really hard one because Vanio's really good. Vanio's only lost 1 fight, and that's to Smudger. Versus also really good, and Versus on a +4 right now.
No, he didn't. He nearly beat Smudger.
Yeah, he almost beat Smudger. He didn't. And Versus on a Verse turned it around and is on a tier right now. Yeah. I mean, if I want to say Vanio could win this. It could go either way.
Who's the betting
favorite? If the betting favorite is Verse.
Really?
The betting favorite is Verse. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
because I always say this about the WR camp, and this is a title fight,
really
so it's a big fight.
Plan.
This is a big fight for them. They're really good with game planning.
Yeah.
Versus either gonna have whoever he wants in his corner from WR, or he's gonna be alone in the corner. Because I know some of the guys in WR don't be fighting with corners. I don't fight with a corner anymore either. I feel like it's distracting. However, going into it, game planning, sparring, they're gonna work on holes in Vanio's game. Like that's what they do over there. They work on holes and they get that shit figured out. Like, this is how you're gonna win. Let's pick a couple combos to really work on, and these combos are gonna lead you to victory. Now, Vanio's a part of the B3 camp, who's not known for game planning. Rather, they're known for block breaking. And with that being said, Vanio is a dog. Vanio can end anybody in any fight. So if Versus game plan doesn't work, Vanio could take over.
I've just seen the picks.
What are the picks? Welterweight?
Yeah, this is a welterweight. So do you want to have a guess?
Nah. Hit me.
Vanio, Shavkat, Versatile, Leon.
Yeah, I would have never guessed that. Though that is so.
Okay, so
it's gonna be a kickboxing war.
Here's my thought process. Okay, so the betting favorite to me is Vanio. He has showcased time and time again that he's really good. He's really sophisticated. He's well-rounded, and that he can bring a fight to the best of the best. And he has submissions. Yeah. Across the board, he's just very good. He's part of that B3 camp. He has really good striking as well, and he has grappling to boot with it from probably likes of MMA. Versatile, really solid competitor, as you mentioned, really good game planning. He's just really, really well-rounded. He's just a solid fighter. He's kind of like the epitome of Leon Edwards in that aspect. Like, there's nowhere that he's exactly bad in. There's a couple places where he's really good, but nowhere's shit. He's just really good across the board. Now, the picks. Shavkat, I want to love. Shavkat, you want to use. Shavkat is someone who should be realistically good. But he just has no pop to his punches, and he just gets murdered very quickly, especially given Leon Edwards' stats. That's my issue here. Like, to me, Vanio should be the one winning, but given the picks, Versatile should be the one winning.
We're just gonna have to wait to see. This is a really hard one to pick.
No, it's extremely hard. But I mean, we go from a co-main that's extremely hard to pick to arguably a wacky, wild, confusing.
No. Doc. Announce this what it is. Announce this as what it is. This is the undisputed, undefeated, reigning, defending baddie, the baddie, coming in the home cage against undefeated Attican, a dog, an absolute animal, a killer, spinning elbow to overhand, flying knee to cartwheel. He is a dog, a savage, a menace, a chaos creator.
I feel like you're compensating for the Frosty fight.
This right here. Listen, I'm not saying Fatinator is going to lose. Because Fat will get mad at me if I said that. No, I'm kidding. However, Fatinator could lose this fight. Let's be real here. Mm-hmm. Who saw Trixie losing last week? Nobody.
No.
Nobody saw that coming. And I guarantee you nobody sees this coming.
Very true.
But it could come.
It could.
In the form of a spinning elbow overhand.
Yeah, that's basically this fight. You don't quite know what's going to happen, but go watch it and find out. Like, genuinely, I mean, the co-main event of 22 is going to be fucking wacky as all hell. The main event's going to be even more wackiness, and yeah, across the board, it's going to be a fun night of fights. Hopefully, we may or may not see a new Xbox champion. We will see a new PS champ. We'll see Naz debuting on the Xbox side. You'll see Trixie looking to come back. You'll see Vuck looking to get back into it. You'll see Mazzy looking to finally cement his name within the history books. You'll see Odran looking to try and get back into the title shot picture. Like, across the board, this is going to be a wild fight, a wild card, a utterly enormous event, probably one of our biggest so far. We just keep growing and growing and growing, and so it's always nice to see, especially when we put so much effort into these things. But yeah, I think with all that being said, unless I'm missing anything, Swag.
No, I think we hit everything.
Yeah, we're all right. We're coming up to the 45-minute mark, and so if you like what you've heard so far, if you're interested in seeing how the card goes, it will be live on Saturday, the something date, 8:30 Eastern. No, 8:30 GMT, 3:30 Eastern this Saturday. If you like what you heard from Dr. Swaggy Kush in the booth tonight, this man streams over on Twitch. It's Dr. Swaggy Kush. He also has a YouTube. Both of them will be linked in the description. But my camera decided to fall down. Apologies. Like, you can't make this shit up. Technical difficulties are brilliant. Yeah, so with all that being said, have a good night. Yeah, adios.